Hey guys, Sundown here. This is going to be my chapter review to One Punch Man 134 Twist. Now this was a pretty good chapter. This is pretty dope. We got to see more of Tatsumaki. We got to see Genos going in and not getting just clapped by virtue of being Genos. So I really enjoyed this chapter. The artwork, once again, Murata is just going in. Like Murata's artwork, I don't think there's ever been a time where we've been severely disappointed by Murata's artwork. I mean, the Phoenix Man redraws and stuff like that, there were elements of the story and how that turned out that I didn't like, and that the guys from the podcast, go check out the One Punch podcast on Grim Reaper's channel. But there were elements of the story we didn't actually like. That's a different kind of situation to the artwork. The artwork has almost always, I think 99, maybe even 100% of the time, been particularly good. So let's get straight into it. The first thing we see is Psykos is kind of weird body composed of her kind of psychic energy. It's got Orochi's kind of roots going through the middle of it to try and pull her back together, to try and fuse her back together. But in the middle, she formed this face at the end of the last chapter, which was like this demonic looking face, and it's got her glasses on, which is pretty funny. But from that face, from the mouth, she fires this huge beam straight off the bat, which looks absolutely amazing first off, and it's fired straight towards Tatsumaki. Tatsumaki's expression here, I'm not sure exactly what it is. It's not fear, it's more like a deer in headlights. It's more like a shock, like holy shit, she fired it off that quick, that something that powerful, that quick, straight towards me. She doesn't look like she wouldn't have been able to handle it. It was just kind of a shock at how fast it was approaching, maybe how fast she was able to fire off something so powerful. That's the vibe I was getting from Tatsumaki's expression. What I liked here is while Tatsumaki's being shot at, Psykos or Psykos-Orochi, whatever you want to call her, she's also firing using those dragon heads, I think, which are maybe still alive. She's firing those shots off at Genos, and Genos is firing back in return. So he's defending from that side while Tatsumaki's doing kind of the main legwork. And I thought, okay, this makes sense. But what we get straight in the second page is Genos is like, nah. So he deals with his little issue. He deals with the little dragon heads. And then he proceeds to rush in front of Tatsumaki, actually shielding her from this oncoming beam. And this is where we got to see the intelligence of Genos here. And then later on, we get to see the intelligence of Tatsumaki. But Tatsumaki still has that deer in headlights look. She's shocked. It might be from the main thing with Tatsumaki these last 10-ish chapters while she's been fighting Orochi has been that she's had a lot to focus on. She's been focusing on getting people out of the Monster Association base. She's been focused on her sister being in danger. She's focused on the people who aren't within the base who are also fighting against monsters. She's trying to understand this god level, well, not even a god level, this above dragon level monster who she's fighting against. There's so many different things she's been trying to understand, to comprehend, that she has to focus on, she has to be worried about. She hasn't really focused directly on Psykos-Orochi, and I think in one of the podcasts I was saying, yeah, maybe I don't see Tatsumaki being as powerful as we all anticipated her to be, but I did go on to say that she might actually be way more powerful. She just needs some time to solely focus on Psykos-Orochi. Like, she doesn't need to, rather than focusing on an oncoming tsunami and having to lift out some of the bedrock so that the tsunami flushes itself down around Z City, I want her to solely focus on Psykos-Orochi, and that's what we get. But before that, we get to see some Genos badassery. So he rushes in front of Tatsumaki and he opens up his kind of core, and in my head it has a very circular motion, the way that it opens up. That's how I animated it in my head. So he has it like a closed up kind of space around his core, which goes like that, kind of Iron Man-esque, but I don't think Iron Man really ever had like a circular core in terms of opening it up like that. And Tatsumaki, once again, she's looking at Genos, still in shock. And this was probably one of my favorite panels of this chapter, probably the favorite panel of this chapter, including the twist at the end. So what we get is Genos, a double spread, firing off his kind of defense and of the cannon that Psykos fired off, that Psykos-Orochi fired off. And this is kind of like the Kamehameha versus the Gallic gun. It just looked amazing. He calls it the true spiral incineration cannon, and I loved the design of it. It fit Genos very well, and it kind of looked very familiar, very similar to Psykos-Orochi's beam as well. Hers had like these other smaller helical beams surrounding the main core of the beam, and his is the exact same. He has this main core of a beam, which is the chunky large beam, and then around it he has these helical beams which swirl around it, and they kind of almost meet at the tip. But his are a lot sharper from this angle. They look very claw-like, very like if you think back to Gigantomachia from My Hero Academia, his claws, they end in very, very sharp kind of stony structures. It looks very similar to that, just more light based. I think Psykos-Orochi's beam had like very circular helical beams. So that would be the difference. And the one issue I had here, in that first double spread where we see Genos fire off the cannon, it looks like it's just kind of like just slightly larger than Genos himself. And then when we go to the next page, this is a huge beam. This is comparable to Psykos-Orochi's beam, which was absolutely massive itself. So I thought the sizing was a little bit off. And then later on, we get another sizing issue with Tatsumaki and Genos as well, which I'll come to. But anyway, we have Psykos-Orochi there. She's laughing her ass off like, you can't beat me in a full frontal clash. This ain't your day for this, Genos. And Genos' hooks around his face, the metal, I'm not even sure what you'd call them, but yeah, metal hooks around his face, they disintegrate as he kind of steps up the level of destruction, the power level that he's outputting. And you see that his beam isn't actually pushing her beam back, even though actually there is an element of that. It's pushing her beam back, but it's not just doing that. What it's doing is it seems to have a stronger central core. This is how I thought of it. So because the center of it is so strong, the larger beam, which seemed to be Psykos-Orochi's beam, is now breaking apart around his stronger beam. That's the core seems to be more stiff, if you want, stronger. So his is basically cutting through the middle of her beam. Her beam is disintegrating and dispersing around his beam, and I loved the artwork around that because it just feels very natural. That's how I imagine it in my head. And you see, obviously, Psykos-Orochi's like shocked. She's like, "Holy shit, is this actually happening right now?" Obviously, she's very confident in her own abilities, maybe a little overconfident. But what I liked here is Genos, even while he's going full output, he turns slightly to Tatsumaki, who's behind him, and says, "Get your ass ready. Go get everybody out of the Monster Association base so you can then focus." And lightning's flying out of him. You can tell that Genos is putting in some work right now. But what this does, like I said, Genos's intelligence here is he knows that Tatsumaki's been focusing on so many different things. He basically gives her the 5-10 seconds she needs to be able to complete her initial mission, which was get people out of the Monster Association base. Once she's done that and found that they're all safe, they're all alive, all's good, she can then continue to kick ass. And that's exactly what he did. He just basically runs up, shields her for about 10 seconds by the looks of things. That's his maximum power output kind of time frame. And this allows her to pull out Child Emperor. We see Bushi Drill. We see Okamai Itachi. We see Amaya Mask. We see this really funny panel of Atomic Samurai. He's kind of lying down. He just snaps back into consciousness and he's like, "Oh, the heck's going on?" He looks to his left and Puri Prisoner's just there like, "Hey boy." And I was like, what the? Puri Prisoner is naked as shit. So Atomic Samurai, that is going to be like PTSD deluxe. Forget fighting against someone called Black Sperm and getting smacked up and down the Monster Association and losing your slippers and stuff like that. Nah, he woke up to the worst sight of his life. And then a friggin' equally as naked Darkshine drops on top of him. Luckily, Atomic Samurai has the reflexes to dodge that. We also see two senses being pulled out of the Monster Association. One of them would be Zombie Man, and I've forgotten who the other one would be. We also see Fubuki, we see Bang, we see Bomb. They've all been pulled out, much to Tatsumaki's happiness. She's like, "Yas, okay, they're all out. Good, time to start kicking ass." And another panel I really liked, even though it's a small panel, is when we see Genos going 100% and he's confirmed now that Tatsumaki's got everyone out. He kind of lets out this last burst of energy, and he's just pushing basically through his barrier. And it's very kind of this line drawing where you see it's almost as if Genos is disintegrating, and it just looks really cool. But then we see Genos basically fried. Lightning's flying out of him, or electricity's flying out of him. His core looks like it's on fire. Both of his arms, which he was unleashing the Kamehameha wave from, are basically like molten metal right now. I think if Tatsumaki touched them, she would probably cauterize her wounds and be stuck to Genos. But he does not look like he's in very good condition. Something Tatsumaki is quite concerned about. And Tatsumaki's concern here, when she looks at him and she's got the exclamation mark, she's like, "Oh shit, like this dude's not in a good condition." I was surprised about that. She's not usually that type of character. She wouldn't give a shit. But the fact that Genos stepped in to allow her to save her sister and save the other heroes, and really step in when he didn't need to, but step in because he wanted to. And his response is, I just did it, for my master. It wasn't for you. But this kind of tsundere kind of thing, the shippers are going to go apeshit with this. Like, the people on Reddit were already, half the comments were about Tatsumaki and Genos. They were just like, "Oh, I wonder what's going to happen here." And I was like, calm down, lads. It was a nice interaction to see Tatsumaki actually give a shit about one of the other S-Class heroes. Much less the fact that it's, much more it's the fact that it's Genos, someone that she's already bodied through a wall once. And he's already had a history of calling her names and stuff like that. But with this, Psykos-Orochi looks at Genos. She's like, "All right, your shield, he's toasted. you look like you're toasted. I'm gonna use another energy beam, and it's surprising how many of these energy beams she could just fire off at will. But she's like, I'm gonna fire off one more of these beams, and I'm gonna clap you guys. End of this. GG, game over, boys. But let this be the day that you guys remember that Tatsumaki took no shit. She was like, The beam goes flying straight towards Genos, who's now leaning on Tatsumaki, basically almost blacked out. His energy, I think he's basically like 95% energy completely done. He's used up about 95, maybe even 100% of his energy capacity, energy store. But this energy beam from Psykos-Orochi just halts in front of Tatsumaki before I think it's knocked away. And Psykos-Orochi's like, oh shit, what's going on here? You see this awesome panel where Tatsumaki's holding up Genos, but she's got her hands out in front, obviously holding back this beam. And I just want to make mention again that the artwork here, absolutely insane. Look at Genos, just the line work around him, some of the shading, his arms, they look absolutely amazing. But Tatsumaki looks awesome as well, with half her face obscured by the larger Genos, and then her body kind of behind him, holding him afloat, because she's the only one that, well, at this point in time, that can fly. But the issue I had with this panel was the size of Tatsumaki. Like, Genos is probably around about 6-ish foot, maybe a little bit smaller, well, maybe even like 6'2". That's how I think of Genos. And Tatsumaki's meant to be a pretty small lady. Like, she's meant to be around about, I think, maybe, let's say 5 foot, maybe even smaller than that. And she looks pretty long in this panel. She looks like she's almost 3/4 of Genos' length, which wouldn't be too far off, but it doesn't feel like it fits the perception of how small she is compared to the perception of how large she is. The scales seem a little bit off here, but let me know what you guys think about that. Actually, we then go on to Tatsumaki saying, I can finally concentrate on us now. Now, once again, Reddit with their filthy minds, all the guys on Reddit were just like, oh my god, like this almost feels like it can be misconstrued as Tatsumaki saying, I can finally concentrate on us now to Genos, as in like they're about to get it on. And I'm just like, come on guys, like it's obvious she was directing that comment towards Psykos-Orochi. I mean, you can misconstrue it just because of the way that she's holding Genos, but let's not go down that route. You guys got too much time on your hands. Then we have Tatsumaki first congratulating Genos on his work, and he obviously says, yeah, it wasn't for your sake. And what I liked here was it was a bit weird, but so first off, I really like the fact that she actually congratulated Genos. That shows a little bit of development from Tatsumaki in the sense of she's not always going to be a 100% bitch towards whoever she's interacting with, whether they be S-class, whether they be weaker. If she sees that they're putting in work, if she sees that they're heroic, they're putting their bodies on the line, and in this situation they're actually protecting her so that she can do a better job herself, she will develop respect for them if she sees enough of this. Maybe not the first time, maybe not the second time, but in this situation, she's like, all right, this guy deserves my full respect. She seems to offer a heartfelt congratulations towards Genos. But then, while she knocks away, she does actually knock away Psykos-Orochi's beam. She just one-hands it and it flies away into the sky. She lets go of Genos, and I'm not sure what she actually does with him, because we'll come back to a point. A lot of people were just saying, yeah, she just let go of Genos and watched him drop the hundreds of feet towards the ground now that he's kind of made himself useful. She's like, yeah, you've had your turn. You've made yourself useful. You go to sleep. And she just lets go of him and he drops. But later on in the chapter, we do see while she's terrorizing and twisting Psykos-Orochi, the other heroes who were within her bubbles, they're actually still within the bubbles. We see, I think it's Atomic Samurai and maybe a couple other characters. No, it was actually Fubuki, Bang, and Bomb, who are still within a bubble, I think. So she's still got her protective barriers around everybody else. It wouldn't be a stretch to think that she's slowly lowering Genos towards the ground rather than letting him fall. But then we come to another panel of the chapter, which I thought was amazing, which is she's looking at Psykos-Orochi, who's now shitting herself, realizing that, oh my god, Tatsumaki wasn't actually 100% serious with me at any point in this fight. Now she's pissed off. Now she can concentrate on me. And I threatened her little sister. And Tatsumaki's just there with this absolutely demonic look saying, you're going to do what with my little sister? I was like, oh, this looks amazing. She emits so much power that people on the ground, people who are sensitive to stuff like this, like Bang and Bomb, they're looking up saying, holy shit, isn't there a limit to how much psychic power can be emitted? I'm not sure if they know that it's Tatsumaki, because they seem to be sweating it out as if it was Psykos-Orochi, as if it's someone they're going to have to fight against. But it could just very well be that they're completely shocked by how absolutely massive the amount of power that Tatsumaki is emitting is. Fubuki here knows straight away, and I feel like this is another hint towards the fact that she's the only one that actually knows it's Tatsumaki, whereas Bang and Bomb might be thinking that it's Psykos-Orochi. She specifically says, this is Sister's concentration power that's increased. It's gone absolutely off the charts. She's getting ready to end this. And I was like, oh my god. So then I love the fact that Psy-Orochi, all of her confidence has been stripped away. She's just like, you know, a monster's about to get clapped when they call the hero the monster. She's like, she still wasn't serious? That damn monster. I was like, yeah, this is basically her getting clapped now. You see Tatsumaki with her eyes whited out. Tatsumaki looks like an absolute monster in these couple panels. Her hair's all up. She looks cool as shit. Her hands are bleeding. She's got cross-shaped scars, almost like Kenshin, but through her hands. She brings them together as she just goes, and she's just wringing out the entirety of Z City. And what I liked here is everyone in this communications office for the Hero Association, they're looking at the map and they're like, hey, Z City looks a little bit distorted. What the hell's going on here? And the operator's just like, that's not like a magnetic interference or anything like that. Z City itself is being twisted up, and you just see this panel of Tatsumaki. Her iris has come back in. She's got all these veins in her forehead, blood pouring out of her hands as she's smiling, this demonic smile. The city is being absolutely wrecked by Tatsumaki. She's like, we've done our thing. I'm about to destroy everything. We are not leaving any hint of Psy-Orochi. And we go to the next panel where we see an aerial view of Z City. We see in the middle this spire, which is essentially Psy-Orochi, and then we see around it this spiral formation as all the earth is being broken up and twisted into this coffin almost for Psy-Orochi, and everything's being crushed beneath the rocks. Everything's being crushed between buildings and landmass. And I thought, that seems a little bit excessive. Like we go to the shot behind Tatsumaki. Again, her left shoe is missing, which is very accurate. But you see all this blood flying out of the spire. You see Psy-Orochi complaining that her roots are being crushed. And I was like, it seems a little bit over the top. You know, does Tatsumaki really need to go this far? This seems exaggerated. Maybe you could have just focused on on Psy-Orochi. But then I remembered the amount of roots. And I remembered when I saw all the blood flying out from different parts of the city. You see buildings with blood gushing out the windows. You see where Child Emperor, Atomic Samurai, all these guys are. You see blood flying out of the ground. You see blood around Darkshine, around the Mai Mask. You see blood around the senses where Zombie Man and stuff should have come out. And you're just like, holy shit, actually, the whole city was infested with Psy-Orochi's roots. So the only way that Tatsumaki could be sure is by actually wringing out the entire city of this filth, of this flesh, this matter, which is essentially Psy-Orochi. And if she didn't do that, it would grow back into Psy-Orochi, and then it would be another issue. There'd be civilians getting hurt and all that stuff. So a very exaggerated, maybe over the top move, but a very necessary and intelligent. It was necessary, a very intelligent move by Tatsumaki, and I hinted towards that earlier in the review, but I think it was a very well thought out move by Tatsumaki, and I commend her for doing that. We have Child Emperor's reaction to Zombie Man not actually making it to the surface, and then he has a single tear in his eye. He's almost crushed by rocks falling down, only to be saved by Pig God, who just climbs out of the ground. We had this funny scene between Saitama, the toilet monster whose name I keep forgetting, and Flashy Flash, and Saitama's just like, your master's gonna destroy my freaking house, what the hell's your problem? And obviously the toilet monster's like, I don't know what the hell's going on, dude. Meanwhile, Flashy Flash he's bleeding out, saying, oh my god, the bedrock's shaking, I need to get out of this. So Saitama throws caution to the wind. He's just plucking all these rocks out and trying to get Flashy Flash out. We see King with Tario. They're going up some stairs again. King's like, oh my god, another set of stairs, my legs are absolutely killing. I'm like, what the hell, this is some mad glute work right now. And the building that they're trying to climb to the top of, it just tips with all of this twisting going on around Z City, and it tips their structure so that now they're going downhill, now they're going downstairs, which people were starting to question once again. What is King's power? Is it something to do with causality? Is it something to do with making his own luck? It could be something like that. I haven't seen enough evidence as of yet. Actually, there's been a lot of evidence so far, but I'm not sure if I commit to that. We then go back to Psy-Orochi, who's bleeding from every orifice. Then we see Tatsumaki looking down, actually amazed herself that, holy shit, you sure spread your roots out quite far. This is disgusting how much blood you have, how many roots you spread through the city. And she's just smiling to herself once again as all this psychic energies flying out of her. She's saying, I'll just have to tightly shut the pump on Psy-Orochi. So I loved this chapter. I thought it was amazing. Is Psy-Orochi pretty much dead at this point? I'm not sure if I buy into that, but it would be very hard to come back from this. I mean, maybe there'll be a decoupling between Orochi and Psychos, because that's kind of what it looked like towards the end, almost as if Orochi had taken most of this damage, but Psychos herself seemed maybe fine. I'm not sure. We didn't get to see Psychos' side. But if they do decouple, would that be a bigger issue for someone like Tatsumaki? Maybe she might be a little bit exhausted after using this move. And if we have Orochi and Psychos versus Tatsumaki, that would be an issue for her. So let me know what you guys thought of this chapter. Let me know what you guys thought of this review. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I'll see you guys in a bit.